You're listening to the Beer Mile Podcast.
Well, howdy! Didn't see you back there. What you doing, Adam?
Well, I'm just working on the crossword for the MANSCAPED Daily Journal. Having a bit of trouble.
Tough one today.
What do you? Hey, listen, you got number 2 across?
Oh, that one took me a little while to figure out. Using masturbation to avoid more pressing matters. That's procrastination.
That's pretty funny, man. Now listen, what you get number 4?
Number 4? No, I don't know if I got that one. When you're ready to masturbate but have to wait for the video to buffer? I don't know that terminology.
That's Master White, brother.
Oh, shit. I do that all the time on my dial-up, my modem connection over here.
Well, shit, you see this advertisement for these 2 fine young gentlemen?
Yeah, they're doing something. They're doing something where they like talk to people running 26.2 miles. Like what?
Well, I ain't ever heard of 26.2, and I ain't ever heard nothing about the beer mile. But I tell you what, these 2 boys look like they're doing a mighty fine job.
Very mighty fine indeed.
Say what? It says they got a podcast on here. Why don't you throw them on?
All right, let's run it back with the Beer Mile boys.
Use code BeerMile, all one word, for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Let's get it, dude.
What's up, Beer Mile Nation? Welcome to today's episode of Chicago Marathon and Chill, a series where we drop in an episode every couple days with somebody who's competing. We have quite a few guests lined up for a quick chat. Today's guest is Frank Lara.
Frank Lara, guest number 1 on this little mini Chicago Marathon preview series here, bringing you all the good runners, getting you seeing where everyone's head's at going into the race.
The cream of the crop.
Absolutely. Frank the Tank, a great first guest for us to have on. He's only run 1 marathon, but he ran 2:11 at the Houston Marathon earlier in 2022. So clearly he's gifted in the marathon distance. Has a lot of upside. We're expecting big things from him. He's a 27:43 10K guy on the track. And as you'll see in the interview, he's pretty confident. He's ranking himself right up there with the top Americans to be throwing down and out there competing at the top level. So we're excited to see what he does.
Yeah, we had a great chat with Frank. Honestly, been a long time coming. We were supposed to do an episode with a little collab earlier, but finally got to have him on the pod. So hope you enjoy our chat with Frank the Tank.
Before we get into the chat with Frank here, we do have to pay some bills. And guess who came back? We've got Manscaped. The boys are repping the tees here. Manscaped, your balls will thank you.
The boys are back.
That's right. They're back. Both types of boys, your boys, Adam and I, as well as our couple of boys apiece. But Manscaped, worked with them for 9 months, took a little break, but then, there's just too much love. You just can't pull us apart. We're like a South Pole and a North Pole of some magnets. Manscaped, back sponsor in the pod. So they've been dropping some new products. You need to make sure to head to manscaped.com and use our code BeerMile, all one word, for 20% off.
It was a long and hairy August, but baby, like we're back.
The balls are finally trimmed up. The hedges are looking clean again. The curb appeal is back.
Yeah, the boys have received haircuts.
You know that Adam and I, if you've listened to this pod for a while, all about the boxers, baby. I'll be wearing these at the Chicago Marathon underneath my half tights because they are no chafe. Feel so good on the boys. They don't stank either. You got your Lawnmower 4.0, all the different gels, post-shave, pre-shave, everything that you could possibly need. And my secret weapon right here, because I'm getting kind of old, so I'm getting those long nose hairs that dangle out a little bit. It's kind of, how old people get the ear hairs, the nose hairs. This is your secret weapon for that. The Weed Whacker, baby. The Weed Whacker, you just stick it up in your nose, trim. It's not going to cut you. You don't have to worry about plucking those hairs anymore. Just You know, you first you mow the lawn, you trim the hedges, and then you got to do some weed whacking to make it look nice and tidy around the edges. That's what the weed whacker does for you. So manscaped.com, use our code BeerMile, all one word, for 20% off and free shipping. And also, if you need to look a little more swagalicious out there on these sunny days, look no further than Knockaround. Knockaround.com, use code BeerMile, all one word, for 20% off your order. You look good. The Knockaround sunglasses, they are very affordable, as well as the highest quality and the coolest styles in the games. And in my Mary Janes, you can see the studio setup. Check out those ring lights, influencer level, maximized over here. So if you want to get swagged out, knockaround.com, use code BeerMile, 20% off and free shipping. Okay. Now that if you're listening to this, well, if you're listening to this, you are listening to this, because why else would you hear this? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Listeners. Listeners, it's been a long day in the studio. This is about take number 100. You know, finally got it in, and it was worth the effort, because now we have Frank the Tank, Mr. Frank Lara, chatting with other boys, chatting with us about the Chicago Marathon. Let's get it. Chicago Marathon coming up pretty quick here. You're probably getting going on the taper right about now. So just give us a sense of how this cycle has gone for you. How's training gone? How are you feeling? Where's your head at? A little over a week out from the race at this point.
Race really snuck up on me. It's one of those things that you try to not think about the future too much, just kind of take it a week at a time. And last week I was like, oh wait, that's soon. But yeah, training's been going really well. I'll add an asterisk to that. I had a slight hamstring strain a few weeks ago, and it felt like the world was ending for a couple days.
Right.
And then 2 weeks later felt like nothing ever happened.
All right, so just a small blip.
Yeah, small blip, but it was that was also part of the realization. Oh wait, the race is soon. Why now? But it's been good. It was funny. My first workout after that, I physically couldn't run faster than the 5-minute pace, and I was like, this does not bode well. And then every workout since then has been exponentially better. My body suddenly remembered, oh yeah, you can do this. So I'm excited. It's hard to say. I mean, I realistically didn't really miss that much training through that, but it's always hard to know what my expectation is for myself and what I can do. And I think I still need to discuss with my coach what's realistic for me. But assuming I'm feeling good, I'm just gonna do what I can to go with the guys I know I want to race against.
How do you, or I guess, how did you temper your mindset through your little blip on the training?
Well,
obviously there's a ton of anxiety that comes out of oh my God, it's a couple weeks away and I'm here not working out.
Yeah, I was gonna run the what race is it? I was gonna run a half marathon in England, and it was gonna be kind of the only race I've done leading into the marathon. And the injury happened the Saturday beforehand. So I think at the time I was really focused on oh, I can't do this race. And throughout that week, it was a lot of me going back and forth. Is it worth going out to England for this trip?
Mm-hmm.
Part of me was just excited to travel internationally. That was something that I, after doing Valencia last year, I was I have to leave the country for something every year, because it's so cool to see other
It's a good goal.
Yeah, it's really cool to have that be able to use the sport to see the world, because it's something that I definitely don't take for granted. and losing that was kind of like a kind of a kick in the gut. But Howie, my agent, and my coach Richie were both like, Frank, just focus on Chicago. That's what you've been getting ready for. If anything, you just put that performance at risk by trying to race here. So I ended up not leaving. Had a lovely weekend instead at the Scottish Highland Games at Estes Park. Saw some people throwing some poles, which was pretty cool. So I had an otherwise wonderful weekend, despite that.
Perfect.
Yeah,
That's good. I don't. So sometimes those little blips in the training it can be some much needed recovery or refresh period. You know, if you've been like, obviously you're someone who's been running for a long time, you have years and years and years compounded of training. And so a little bit of downtime maybe could even just help you get that little boost of recovery and absorb the training a little bit headed into the race. So I don't know, maybe I'm buying stock on you now that I know that you had a little downtime, because you're going to be refreshed and ready to go going into this race.
Yeah. People have been telling me that your body is just telling you what you needed. So definitely recovered. I'm excited.
That's good.
So I guess as far as goals, you're still working out specifics, but like if you had to have like a dream scenario A outcome of Chicago, what would like that scenario A be? And if you had to like fall back to a backup goal, what would that be?
Scenario A, best goal, best run I've ever had would probably be being the top American. I don't say that lightly. Like, I know the field is not just on the American side, but everywhere. Like it's so stacked, and so everyone is so good. And I know that my friends / competitors are all in really good shape. So I kind of look at this as like an opportunity to just, I know I had like some downtime, but if this is the race where people are going to run fast and I get to be a part of it, like I have nothing to lose, like going with whoever it may be to try to run fast. B goal would be to PR.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the PR is then, that's like kind of the floor. That's the minimum expectation, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I like that. In the race itself, I guess, do you know if there are pacers at a specific time, like a 209 pacer, 208, 210, anything like that, or are you kind of basing it off of other Americans in the race? You're just going to stick with the pack, stick with the crew, and kind of collude with some of them, and knows those that are similar time goal as you. How are you going to kind of play it out on race day?
It's a good question. I haven't heard anything about pacers. Last year, I was contact to potentially pace this race and come through half marathon in 63:30 or something along those lines. So I could see that being somebody else doing that for the race. But I don't know. Regardless, I do have a good idea of what kind of group I'd want to be running with. So this will be my second marathon, and the first one where I don't plan on, I wasn't planning this last time, but I don't plan on leading the entirety of it.
So far, yeah, it's a good plan.
That's a very good plan. I mean, it kind of worked out. It was a pretty damn fast, debut time. So,
it was a weird race.
You're someone who, yeah. No, go ahead. Yeah. How did it play out?
Well, it played out. So it was the Houston Marathon last year, and the Houston half and the full both start at the same time on the same starting line. The first like 8 miles are the same course, and then they split off. I felt like I was the only marathoner who didn't go with the half marathon group, and I was like way behind, running like I think like on 207 pace through like 4 or 5 miles.
to be behind,
yeah, like way,
207
like
pace
way behind. And I kind of stayed consistent. And then the moment we split off from the half marathon group, nobody wanted to lead. So we went from running like an average of like 4:51, 52 to suddenly like me leading at like anywhere from 5 to 5:15 maybe, which felt very odd because I was just kind of like running around. It was my hometown. So it was like cool to just like have a full view of my city. But it was interesting because I felt like I was just kind of running and nobody was doing anything to help me. Until the final 10K, in which my teammate, Luke Caldwell, who ended up being a second behind me overall, the final result, he caught up to us. He had gone out a lot more conservatively than I did, but after half marathon, we had definitely slowed down quite a bit, and he like had been like gunning for us for a while, and he passed us and just kept going, and we were like back to like low 450s after that. So that was pretty cool to have like him step in and do that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to not to run Chicago and not I don't expect to be like chilling at any point. So that'll be fun.
I mean, yeah, running 2:11 clearly the hard way at Houston it should be at least a pretty decent, confidence booster, and on what your capabilities are as a marathoner going into this one.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about it. I will say I did die a little bit over the last like 800 meters, but I like to think that if we had been running faster, I wouldn't have been running as long time-wise, so I wouldn't have gotten to that point of fatigue. This is me just justifying it in my head, of course.
No, makes total sense. Yeah.
If I running for 5 minutes longer is significantly harder than significantly harder than running for less time. I'm just saying.
That's why Adam and I are so bad at the marathon, because we have to run, like 30, 40 minutes longer than you have to run. So it sucks for us.
That just sounds so miserable.
It does. Yeah. I'm seriously, props to everyone who's running a marathon and they're going 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. Like to be able to go hard for that long is not easy by any means. So yeah, props to everyone out there.
I physically couldn't do that. And that's the really cool part about the event and like being at these huge races. It's just like seeing so many people like going out there and like just doing their best and like just running because they can. And it's like, it's still a race, but like it's a race for themselves, for their families, for their like, everyone has their own support system. And I think it's really cool to like see that at like the marathon distance.
And I think the big races, at least the ones that I've been to, people like hang out until the last like finishers are walking in. Like people are at the beer tent or just like, I don't know, they might have grabbed some food, but like it's still, I feel like some races will, shorter than the marathon, will kind of like shut down shop, and like everybody finishing is not as important as some of the bigger ones.
Yeah, I think it definitely feels like a local event that like the whole like city town is there for.
Absolutely does.
I'm curious, I guess, to shift a little bit into the race itself. At what point, I guess this is only marathon number 2, but at what point, racing with fellow Americans, at what point during the race does it turn from ideally like a cooperative relationship to, hey, like I'm racing to beat you at this point, I'm racing to be the top dog?
That's a good question. Well, when I ran Houston, I think I kind of did that with 2 miles to go. That was a very, very different race than I envisioned this being. I think probably about with 10K to go or so is when the race will really feel like it's starting. And I don't think people are going to be like trying to drop each other necessarily. I think it'll still be kind of cooperative, but like it'll be like you can't hang on, get off. Whoever's doing this, let's do this. But yeah, it's been cool. I'm really excited because I like my competitors. We've like commented on each other's like Strava's like, looks like you're ready. We're doing this, man. So I'm excited. Yeah.
What's that been like leading up, kind of like talking to competitors? Because a lot of you are friends, or at the very least like are in the same or similar circles?
It's been cool. So I ran the Falmouth 7 mile in August at this year, and one of the other athlete that was staying with me with this host family was Clayton Young, and he was a really cool guy to get to know, and probably one of the kindest guys that I compete against. And like after he knew that I was supposed to do the Great North Run, which is the race I was talking about earlier, and after I like obviously didn't do it, he like reached out to me like, "Hey, are you okay? Is everything fine?" So like that probably came. I like to think that probably came with a sense of like, oh, maybe he won't be around for this race that I'm competing against, but also like a little bit of like, Frank won't be there. I hope he's okay. I hope he's like still like going to be ready for Chicago, because it's going to be a good one. So I think there's a really cool sense of like support, but in like I want you to be there so I can beat you kind of thing.
Well, that as well as like, I mean, if you're to be the top American at a marathon that doesn't have a whole lot of top tier Americans, and it's like, does it really count for a whole lot then? Or like, you kind of want to stake your claim. Like, I want you to be at the race so that not only can we work together for the majority of it, but like, I'll feel better about kicking your ass at the end.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm very upfront with my competitors. Like, I want to beat you really badly, but I also hope that your race goes really well.
It's such an interesting
right
combination, because like everyone's everyone's like, at least in running, I feel like everyone's like a pretty nice person, and everyone wants the best out of even their competitors. And it's like, okay, I just want you to do this much worse than I'm doing. Like, I want to beat you.
Ideally, we all have the race of our lives.
Yeah.
That's right. Do you consider yourself more of a time, like your goals are more based on times, or more based on like places and beating people and competing?
I feel like the marathons, it's really challenging to like try to go for a time, just because there's nothing in stone about what the conditions are going to be like, what other people are going to run like, what the pacing is going to be like. So it's really hard. I think as a competitor, it's really hard to bring out your best if you're like focused on a time goal. My coach normally, for like in terms of times, he gives me like a speed limit, and I think that's like a lot of a safer way to look at it, because I'm not like trying to go out and run like certain time. If I'm like running this fast, like good, I don't need to go any faster. And then you'll put like, oh, 10K to go, rip everyone's heads off. And he'll say something like that. But so yeah, I would say I think time is on paper cool to see, cool to have like, this is my PR, and every race you could do from now on will like say like your beautiful PR, and it'll be really cool for people to see, and like it'll intimidate people. But that doesn't come without some level of like not thinking about it and just focusing on racing everyone you can.
Very true. As you've transitioned now to kind of being a marathoner from, being more of a, I guess, 10K guy on the track, what has that transition been like from a training perspective? Have you changed things a lot in how you train? Are you training a lot more volume? Or do you like what you're doing for marathon training more? Just kind of curious what that shift has been like this last year or so.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I trained for Houston, I did marathon training for a few months, and then I switched back to the 10K. So it was it was interesting to like not many people go and just like switch training systems back and forth. But I'm really glad that I was able to do that, because it was kind of like I feel like a lot of people, if you run the marathon, you like suddenly lose your 10K, 5K, whatever speed. And I don't think that's true. I think it's just a matter of like, you just have to train that system. And it was a relief to like finish my season and still like have been able to run fairly fast on the track after having already run a marathon. And the difference I think that I've kind of noted in that, or at least that my coaches applied in my training, is volume. Obviously, I think I was doing like probably 85 to 75 miles a week when I was mainly focusing on the 10. And then before Houston, I was going like 90 to 100. And now before Chicago, I've been doing like 95 to 100, closer to 100 for the most part. So that's been a lot of the change, and it's just, it takes so much time out of the day. Like just that extra little bit.
Very big time commitment.
Yeah. I find myself, so I work for Strava as a community support representative, and I recently went full-time, and honestly, I was working part-time beforehand, and it was just to give myself like a schedule and like a reason to get up in the morning. Because otherwise I feel like I like kind of postpone going to bed and kind of postpone like getting my run in. But like when my run is like an hour and a half every day, it's just like, I need to like have a more structured life. And that's been really helpful for me to have. So I think it's definitely taken a lot more just like regimented daily discipline, to just get all the volume in. Workouts aren't as intense, but they're kind of a couple hours or two or 3 hours. So right. That's also like, again, big part of my life. So that's kind of been, I think the biggest adjustment is just the actual like amount of time it takes.
What shoe are you going to be racing in?
That is a great question. I bet you could guess it. It'll be, I will be wearing the Ultra Vanish C for carbon. It is Ultra's super shoe they released last year. I was in the commercial for it, which is very exciting for me. Yeah, it's a carbon plated shoe with a really nice foam, and it is also has balanced cushioning / zero drop. I think they keep it a zero drop by like having it kind of has a pretty good slope on the bottom so that it like still rolls pretty well. And that's been a really good shoe to train in. The nice thing about it is they'll like just send me one right before any race that I do. So I don't have to like worry about
just a fresh
pair.
I always have a fresh pair just for the races. And then I use that to train in for a bit. But yeah, I really like using it I try to avoid using it for like most of my workouts, just because I feel like I don't want to start relying on that the like support and foam. I feel like it'll maybe like there's a sense of like a little bit of muscle atrophy, and like Ultra's whole thing is running more natural. So I try to not use it for every workout I do, but for the ones that are like really, really long volume and really, really intense are the ones kind of that I mainly lean towards that one.
Yeah. Save the cheat code for race day. I like it.
Yeah.
No, I figured we should do an obligatory, sponsor plug and make sure that you get to shout out the shoes there.
Yeah. It'll be funny though, because when a lot of my teammates use their whatever company super shoe for most of their workouts, and I'll be like working out with them, and then they'll look down on me and be like, I hate you, Frank. Why are you you're not using a super shoe?
That's got to be a good feeling to like be the only, if you're not wearing the super shoes and you're still hanging with everyone in a workout, it's almost like a flex.
That's
like
a mental
I got
edge.
extra workout today that you didn't get because I did it the hard way.
Yeah. So it definitely is a nice little handicap buffer, if you will. I like to think that it's not like making me that much faster, just kind of like helping me stay more recovered through training, I guess.
Yeah. Correct biomechanics and more natural running form it makes a lot of sense. Should we go to trivia, Adam?
Yeah, let's do trivia.
Does this mean I ask
Are
y'all
you down
questions?
for a little? Yeah, let's do it.
Questions.
I mean, if you want to ask us, go for it.
He pulled the Uno reverse.
I don't have anything prepared. Why did I bring that up?
All right, we've got some trivia questions that are centered around the Chicago Marathon.
Oh boy!
All right, we'll give you a couple. Okay, so question number 1: how many ice bags are at the finish line?
Is it one per participant? There can't. That would be way too many. I'm overthinking this. Let's say 500.
Oh, there's 5 digits in the number.
Oh my!
Your original instinct was about right. One per
Okay.
participant is pretty dang close. Yeah.
Then we'll go.
Do you know how many participants are in the Chicago Marathon?
don't.
I guess maybe that's
don't.
really,
This is all
okay.
guess. This is all guessing. So Chicago, let's see. It's a pretty popular city. I don't know what the population is. We're gonna say
I love the mental gymnastics behind it.
it's probably not a nice round number. We'll say 74,368.
I think you got
It's a little
very
big.
close to half, or you got very close to double. It's 38,500.
Okay, I was about
I
to
feel,
say,
I feel like you'd be a fun person to play trivia with, because this is exactly how I plan. I'm like, okay, like, so based on these things that I don't really know anything about, here's my answer, and I'm so bad at trivia. So maybe it's in my strategy. I don't know.
maybe we need to know more things.
So the amount of participants is 40,000. That'll help you for a lot of these, I think.
Yeah.
All right, next question. How many porta potties are in the race?
Porta potties. Let's see. I should have taken a closer look at the course map. I'm gonna say there's probably porta potties at every couple miles.
And this includes start and finish line too.
Yeah.
We're saying just like everywhere, start, finish, every mile on the
Your
course.
hint is that this one is 4 digits.
Okay. So we'll do. Can I use a calculator for this?
Yeah, go for it. Do it.
All right, we're gonna
Whip
some
that
math.
thing out.
Yeah, you got to walk us through the math on this one.
All right, so I'm gonna say there's probably a porta potty area. I would say probably like 25 times throughout the race, including start and finish. That's what I'm thinking.
Yep.
And we're gonna say each area. The start probably has a lot more. I am okay. We're gonna do 30 areas, and we're gonna do 7 porta potties per area. You said 4 digits.
There's 4
Okay,
digits.
this math isn't even working out. Okay,
I think
you're on the right track. Think about start finish plus at every stop.
Okay.
I was gonna say I think you need to just add in way more for the start finish on top of your 30 stops. I think you just need to add way more for that piece.
oh my gosh, this doesn't check out. I'm gonna count them when I get there.
You might have a hard time.
See, I actually think that this one seems high to me as well. I mean, if it's what they say, it's what they say. But think about when you go into a porta potty, like right before the start of a marathon, like how full they are, as well as the lines. Like normally a line for a porta potty, not in the elite area, but like, in the normal person area, you're talking like 50 people in line sometimes. So it seems to me like this 4-digit number, like 40,000 people divided by, I guess, but like 40,000 runners divided by like 1,000 porta potties, 40 poops in each toilet. I feel like there's way more than 40 poops in each toilet by the time
that's
this
what you're
marathon is
saying.
over.
Okay.
You're throwing so much more work into this than I expected to do. I feel like it can't be more than I'm gonna say 1,400.
That's really
Very
close.
close.
It's 1,500.
1,500. That still just seems so crazy. I guess.
feels-
yeah.
yeah.
I don't know.
I appreciate the hint. I wouldn't have been anywhere near that without the hint, though. Without
Yeah,
the
Adam,
I
your
mean,
hint was
some of these are-
too nice.
Some of these are wild. Like let's do one last one. This one has 5 digits in it. How many bananas are provided to runners?
How many bananas are provided to all the runners?
Yes.
Does that include ones that aren't eaten?
Yes.
Okay, so this is how many bananas the marathon, Bank of America, Chicago
Right.
Marathon. got
A lot of these
for
might
this
get
event.
thrown away. They're not necessarily
Okay.
all going
All
to
right.
get eaten.
All right. And how many participants were there again?
40,000.
About 40,000.
40,000, and this is also 5 digits. I feel like I want to say it'll be. I'm trying to think. Would they provide more than one per person? And these are these only at the finish line?
I think they do have bananas throughout on a couple of the
Stops.
hydration areas. I think there's
yeah.
maybe a couple stops that do have like bananas and oranges.
That's a game changer. I'm gonna say 50,000.
That's pretty close. It's 75K.
Okay.
Yeah, about 2 a person. Yeah,
Wow. I feel pretty good about
Adam.
how this is
I think
going.
Adam's generous going to. Yeah,
Yeah.
Adam, you're generous given the 5 digits, man. Given the number of
Dude,
digits.
I mean, if somebody asked me these questions, I would be like, bananas. I don't know. Like, well, me, like if I'm running a race, like I'll bring 3 for myself. So like, I would guess like 100,000. That's like way off.
Yeah. Now I'll ask you guys how many bananas are at the event that other people bring? Total.
Oh, see, that's probably like 200,000.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure, people bring all of their own shit. You've got people who aren't racing who are just having snacks.
Chowing down on bananas.
It's banana central.
Chicago is known as the capital of bananas.
Yeah, obviously. Clearly.
That's what I hear, at least.
That's the real takeaway.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to do trivia more often.
This is good. This is a new podcast edition here. Some stupid trivia, like meaningless trivia though, not like trivia that's actually helpful that someone if they do it would show they're smart.
trivia meaningless?
Somebody was in charge of deciding how many bananas to get, so I think this is important to them. There is meaning to this.
That's true. There's some math modeling to like
Decisions
figure out
were
how
made.
many bananas last year, and true. All right, a couple other fun closeout questions here for some other predictions for Chicago. So, what do you think will be the fastest men's and women's finishing time, the winners' times?
I haven't even factored in the weather. What's the weather going to look like?
The weather is going to. We've decided the weather is going to be good.
Okay.
It's looking pretty good.
All right.
Yeah. Assume ideal conditions.
We're going to say 2:04:48 for the men. Or should that for the men, yeah.
Okay.
And then for the women's race, I will say 2:17:23.
I like the specificity.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Yeah. This is significantly less exciting than the previous question.
Okay. Well, then we'll spice it up a little bit then. All right. So other prediction then. Who will be the top 3 American men in the race?
In no particular order, it'll be me, my friend Connor, Mance. You probably know of him. And
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Clayton's been working out with Connor pretty consistently, so I feel like I'm feeling pretty good about Clayton. Clayton Young.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I love how you threw in no particular order, but it was clearly in that exact order.
You first. Yeah.
I mean, people are free to make their own assumptions.
Not even denying it. I like it.
I'm going to do my best to ensure the order that I want it to be.
I like it.
And I'll get over it if I fail.
You've got the experience at least. Connor's a newbie. He doesn't know what he's doing. You're gonna have to show him the ropes out there. You're a veteran at this point.
He'll be so lost. I totally picture him just like asking, "Hey Frank, is this? Are we doing this right? Is this okay?" The whole time.
When does the wall come? We should be getting the wall soon, right? Around mile 20.
He's gonna be like saying like. He's gonna be like looking over his shoulder with like a mile to go, saying, "Hey Frank, do I look okay?" And I'll be like dying. But what I learned at Houston, I didn't mean to do this, but one of the other athletes was like, so I was enjoying my hometown, and like I'd see people from my high school like wearing my like high school letterman. I'd like wave, and like this guy next to me would tap on my shoulder, be like, "Hey, focus." And I was just having a good time, but I didn't understand what he was saying, so I probably asked him to repeat himself like 5 or 6 times. And I was like, "What?"
And he's like, "Quit fucking around, like focus."
Yeah.
Do you feel like that like detracted from your performance, or was it like kind of like kept you not in the zone, but like kept you comfortable?
I think it kept me comfortable. I feel like I don't do this to be in pain for 2 hours, I do it because I love it, and I feel like I should enjoy it as much as I can. But what I learned from that is if I really want to bother one of my teammates, if they say something to me, just like act like I don't hear them over and over and over again. See if I can tire them out. Just try to get them a little bit out of breath, Connor or Clayton or someone will whisper something in my ear, be like, "Sorry, what'd you say?" What? I didn't catch that.
I feel like now I'm gonna bet money on Frank because I know that the mental tactics are there. He's got the mental game down to a science.
Yeah, but again, a lot of it's unintentional.
No. So you're just an artist at fucking with people.
Yeah. In the Houston half a couple years ago, I remember being about 7 miles in, and I turned to Futsum Zeneselassie. I had like a group of my high school friends were like right there. I was like waved at them, and I was like, "Futsum, those are my friends." And he just looked at me with like, "What are you doing?"
Shut up.
Yeah. So a big challenge for me, I think, will be trying not to like strike up conversation in this race. We'll see how it goes.
Well, hopefully we can give you a reason to wave at some point during the race.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah. What should we yell at you? We'll get all of our friends that are going to be spectating as well. We can all yell something at you at a couple points. What would you like to hear? What's going to stand out?
Tank the tank.
That's pretty good. I didn't give myself that nickname. I'm pretty sure it's from.
That's why it's a good nickname.
Yeah. Is that from Animal House originally? Does that sound right? It's
I
from
don't even
a
know
movie.
what it's from.
Anyway, so at Strava we use Slack for like internal messaging. It's like a web-based app for talking to people, and you can update your name on that. And when I started at Strava, my name was Frank from Strava. So like to everyone internally at the company, they'd see my name as Frank from Strava. And as like time, people like every now and then would be like, "Hey, I don't know if you'd noticed that your name is this." Like, yep, that's intentional. Most people, it's just
That's
their
on
name.
Purpose.
But since I keep like changing iterations of my name. There's probably Frank the Tank at one point. There's Frank from Strava by Ultra for a bit. And then I just recently updated it to just Frank now. That's the full thing, just Frank now.
The full thing,
yeah.
just Frank.
Yeah, and one of my coworkers like used it as like abbreviated JFN, and I was like,
JF.
This is my new identity. I really like this. So call me whatever you want. I'll leave it up to your creative outlet, whatever you want to call me. I'm sure I have a hard time listening for things, but if anything, it'll give me something to focus on to just keep listening. Somebody's going to say something weird. I'm going to be waiting for it.
Yeah, make sure to do it on the back half of the course when there's less spectators, so that way it stands out a little bit more. Maybe run alongside you and paint our chests or something like that. We'll see. We'll make sure to get your attention out there. Don't worry.
Perfect. I
Awesome.
love that.
Cool. Anything else? Any other plugs that you want to give to our listeners? Words of advice? Anything else that you want to leave the people with?
People, listeners of the Beer Mile podcast, thanks so much for tuning in. It was a pleasure having y'all listen to me talk to these guys. And if you're running Chicago, have a great race. I hope I beat you regardless. If you're not running Chicago, if you run at all, just have a great run or don't. Some people don't enjoy running, and that's fine. But just be happy, live your life, and do what you love. That's what I got.
Hell yeah! I wish I had a beer. I'd drink to that. Awesome, Frank. Thanks for coming on.